What's your best never do drugs story? My friends and I decided to do acid and go mingle with drunk people at the college bars. We began talking to some drunk guy in the closed off street for a while, but his face started to freak me out and I said, "Sorry, we have to go. Your face is melting." I thought it was honestly just the acid, having done it tons of times before, until I looked at my friends. They were mortified. Apparently the guy we were talking to had horrible chemical burns on his face and I wasn't hallucinating it. Yup, I'm going to heck for laughing at this. I saw a guy dressed like Waldo in a gas station parking lot trying to find little pieces of crack on the ground. So that's where Waldo is. In high school, me and my girlfriend snuck down to my parents' beach house a week or two before summer started with a crap load of shrooms. The day was pretty pedestrian at first, so we decided to take more than we ever had before and proceeded to get naked and run around the house having a hilarious time. Then we hear the front door open. We didn't think anyone was coming down, so we, logically, assumed it was a break-in and decided to hide in the shower. Turns out it was my grandmom and all her old lady friends coming down for a beach day. They found us naked and nearly in tears and my grandma just assumed we snuck away to bang, so she was like, "I won't tell your parents. You're just being kids. But you have to come to lunch with us." Lunch with 4 old women while tripping balls was not ideal to say the least. I'm not sure if grandmas are oblivious to when their grandkids are blasted, or if they just don't care. My friend called me to tell me he thought he had a drug problem. We all knew, but I asked him why he came to that realization. It was because he ran out of veins and shot H in his penis vein. I have a drug problem. I'm unable to do more drugs and that's a problem. I dated a girl who lit up the room with her smile and was wonderful to be around. Her co-worker gave her a few free lines of coke, then offered to start selling it to her. Within a month, she owed him most of her paycheck by the day she got paid. She'd call me up, crying, because it had been a half hour since she'd done coke and she already couldn't handle the need for more. I broke up with her, but would see her randomly at club nights or concerts for years, but I never saw her smile once in that time. Coke broke her as a person. That was a roller coaster of a comment. Found my younger brother dead in his bed from a H overdose. Don't do drugs, folks. Frick. My roommates and I went out to the clubs one night and a guy I didn't know well tagged along. We smoked some pot, well, a lot of pot, before we rolled into the club. The place was packed elbow to elbow and no tables were free. Then we grabbed a free table and ordered beers. The new guy wasn't with us. Minutes drag by and we don't see him. I start to worry and ask where he is. Nobody cares. After 30 minutes, I get up and walk around looking for him and find him sitting at the end of the crowded bar, alone. I ask him what he's doing and he looks at me with tears in his eyes and says, "I'm dead." What, I'm dead? I've been sitting here for hours and no one will talk to me. I asked the bartender 3 times for a beer and he didn't even look at me. People can't see me because I'm dead. Dude, I can see you, right? We're talking now, yeah? I don't think you're dead. Here, I'll get you a beer, and then we'll go back to the table everyone's at. I yelled at the bartender and paid for a beer, steered my new buddy back to our table, and we all had a good time. This happened to a friend of mine. He went into his GCSE English exam thinking he was dead. Still got a C. I was addicted to C, crank and crystal M for 23 years, ages 21-44. My last bender lasted 3 months. The 10th of July, 2014, the 1st of October, 2014, went MIA. From my family wandering around Port Richmond, Kensington, Philadelphia. Probably spent 20k in all. At one point I was awake for 9 straight days. Pus coming out of left hair duct and these phenomenally insane hallucinations. Visual and auditory. The creepiest hallucination sounded like a choir of children maniacally laughing for 3 straight days. Lost 38 pounds. I walked into a place called The Rock, which is a ministry for the down and out. Stayed with a guy there for 6 days, then went to a rehab for 6 months. A rehab that deals with you on a purely spiritual level. I had been to regular 28-day rehabs 5x over 13-year period and IOP rehab another 5x in between. This last rehab everything clicked and my life has been completely different and my life is changed. Sober for 3 years now and I'm almost 49. Used drugs for almost 30 years overall. I have seen almost every bad thing one human can do to another. People murdered, shot, stabbed, beaten, odds, assaults, brain matter, bone, ruptured eyeball, ear torn off, tip of a nose bitten off, just horrendous crap. Life is good now. I am content and happy. An absolute zero desire to ever use drugs again. That feeling has never lasted more than 60 days in the past. Amends have been made and more to be made in the future. Anyway, drugs are heck on earth. Mate phoned me. There was aliens seeming all on his top and face. Got there and his face and top were covered in cold baked beans. He looked at me with such terror as well. I don't care if this is true or not. It's freaking hilarious. First year of college. It's like 1:30 AM. And I'm out getting a drink of water from the water fountain in the hallway. Some dude wanders in from the stairwell and asks me if I have any drugs. I told him no, I don't. But also being an innocent, polite child who has never dealt with being asked for drugs before, I tack on a hesitant sorry to the end. He says no, that's good. Don't do drugs and then wanders back into the stairwell. This is a good story. Tylenol will freak up your liver quicker than you'd guess. After a night of drinking, some people swear by drinking water and taking a Tylenol before bed to avoid a hangover. I was told by someone in pharma to never do that. Family friend, who has been smoking crack for most of his adult life, took MDMA for the first time and ended up getting sectioned. Since then he's completely stopped drinking or taking any drugs. I once bought a quarter of mushrooms because I was going to do them with a friend of mine. We would each take an eighth, one half at first, then the other half hours later, as we were known to do. Anyways, I start munching on them and my friend bails last minute. So over the course of probably 10 hours I ate all of it by myself and went on a Facebook tangent about Mark Zuckerberg being the second coming of Christ. Then I go outside and play in the snow thinking it was raining diamonds. Then I go to the bathroom and proceed to walk around in circles losing my mind. Shapes and textures were starting to manifest on the walls and they started spinning, but I was having a great time just geeking the frick out. Then I found an ingrown hair on my tummy and decided to pop it. Well, this is where the shrooms turned on me. I had gotten it out, but I was convinced there was more. So I kept at it until I saw what looked like a worm come out and start wiggling. Then I felt this really hot flushing feeling come over me and start coursing through my veins. I immediately started to panic. So I ran upstairs to my room and laid on my bed looking for the mellowest music to listen to maybe calm me down. I chose Coldplay. The red sheets I was laying on started to seem like a blood red sea that I was sinking into and I was getting really hot. So I stripped butt naked and opened the window. This wasn't cooling me down. So I start to actually lean out the window all the while thinking I'm like one of those fricked up statistics where people take too much psychedelics and jump from windows. The sun was starting to come up and it made the trees look like they were on fire. I kept trying to tell myself that it was a bad trip, shrooms won't kill you, and that I was going to be alright. Not working. So instead I sat in corner and rocked myself to sleep saying Jesus is love over and over and over. I don't even believe in God. Then I passed the frick out and swore off shrooms for years. I've done them a few times since, but now I just nibble. I'm terrified of having an intense trip again. I haven't done them for like 2 years and probably won't do them again. That one bad trip kind of ruined psychedelics for me, which sucks. They're a lot of fun. Same. Once you spend 6 hours writing a gibberish while in a spiral thinking you're going to die, they lose a bit of fun. Had a few friends trip on acid one night when someone's parents were gone. This guy's stove elements are always red, which is a silly design choice, but an important one. Buddy wanted to scare another guy so he slammed his hand down on one of the other burners as they were making pierogies, making him think he burnt his hand. Suddenly, the guy goes blank and goes into a full-on bad trip. He was convinced everyone else were cops trying to catch him for killing all of his friends in a pierogi fire. Ran out of the house banging on neighbors' garage doors yelling for help. Luckily nobody saw him and one of the other guys was able to get him back inside and calm him down. But this occurrence has convinced me I'm probably fine without doing acid. Take out the acid, and you have an average Thursday in Poland. A friend of mine went to a music festival with a different group of friends. One of those guys did DMT and passed out for about 7 minutes. He woke up freaking out because apparently while he was out, he lived an entire lifetime as a Mayan boy man. Lem repeat myself. He lived an entire lifetime as another human being from another time and place. He described waking up, going about his day every day. He slowly grew up, found a wife, had kids, all that. Then we just woke up. He was kinda depressed for a few weeks apparently. Stuff is just nuts. What if I'm just someone else's DMT trip? Took a tab of acid on a family vacation. We were at the beach for a week in Florida, but each year we go to Ichitacni Springs to go tubing. It's a beautiful place with crystal clear water and you tube down a stream for 2-3 hours. Anyways, I dropped my acid 30 minutes before we got there, and by the time we got there I was on the come up. I spent the first hour and a half snorkeling by myself and having a blast. Around an hour and 45 minutes and my mom made me tie off to my grandmother because she kept falling behind. Frick. So I was stuck with my old grandmother while tripping dongs. I was able to keep my composure for the most part, but right before we got to the end of the stream, I was still tripping pretty hard. I am terrified of snakes. My grandmother screams out of nowhere and says snayak. My reactions were late, but I turned around and there it was. A black water snake. Probable water moccasin. Swimming towards me and Granny. I almost fainted. No lie. But instead I bailed on the tube and started swimming upstream. I probably looked like a madman. Apparently it swam up to my grandma and went right by her to get to the other side. The adversity in my situation came when my grandma finally got to the landing point that I had already swam to, and she was very angry. And I wasn't responding to her angry very well since I was rolling on acid, and I am sure I just looked confused and misplaced. She thought I was just drunk because I had been drinking at the beginning of the stream. Anyways, nothing that bad came out of it, but don't do acid near Granny. 6 months into a and amphetamine addiction and do a massive amount in one go. Spent the night running round these dark woods hiding from shadow people. Literally the worst night of my life, crouching behind trees and watching them skulk in the shadows. Lasted about 6 hours. At one point the bad trip evolved to aliens coming down from the sky to kidnap me. It was as real and vivid as day. As I hadn't taken a hallucinogen, it wasn't expected and I couldn't tell the difference between reality and not reality. When dawn broke, I walked home crying as I didn't know what was going on. I got home and the day after took an overdose. 4 days ago I attended my friend's funeral who overdosed. We met in NA. That took me a second. Although, well, North America is pretty non-specific, but then realized you meant Narcotics Anonymous. Condolences. I saw a patient who had lost his penis from shooting up H in penile vein, his last remaining good vein, having it get infected, and not seeking treatment until it was too late. This is girl Pepe. She only appears once in every 50,000 memes, like in 3 seconds for good luck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.